Well, hi everybody. This is Angelo Quinones, and you reach I Am Ministries. I Am Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. The Bible, Habiblos, by the way, post by E. Post by E means how's it going, and I'll add Kalimera. Kalimera means good morning because it is actually in the Philippines over here. Even though I was born in the States, I relocated about 3 years ago to my chagrin. It's actually 8:22 in the morning. So Kalimera, and there you go. Now we're actually looking at John 1:1 and the full Greek construction. This is, when it comes down to it, this is really basic Greek. This is basic Greek, but it's deep as tears. I mean, this is the theology is as deep as any verse in the Bible. I mean, this is as deep as it gets because it's talking about, Logos and Theos, their intercommunal relationship, before the creation of the world. And then you're talking about the subsistence of Logos and the intercommunion that he had with who we now know as God the Father, even though they were not God, even though they were not, I should say, Father and Son at the time. They were God. They were not Father and Son at the time, and also nature/essence. So we saw the progression of thought. Well, those three things: subsistence, intercommunion/relationship, and nature/essence. Yeah, those three titles. Okay, to this of us. And so sometimes we take detours from John 1:1, and there are basically four series that I have done on John 1:1, and literally probably thousands of messages on John 1:1. I mean, really, it doesn't mean anything unless you're speaking the truth. I mean, but I am a born again Christian evangelical, so we do speak the truth. We speak the truth from God's word. That we speak the truth that Logos was God, okay, and that He is God now. God, man, though, the anthropos, two natures, okay, one person, two natures, though. And so we're looking at every verse that has to do with us, and versus Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, so if they talk about 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 28, we're gonna know the full Greek construction of it. We're gonna know about it. We're gonna know what it means according to other verses and that verse. Okay, in its context. So that's what this ministry is trying to do in a secondary sense. First of all, it's an evangelical-based ministry. Okay, we give the gospel, the evangelion, the good news. Okay, you cannot work for your own salvation. You have to receive it as a free gift. Okay, whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Joel chapter 2, Acts chapter 2, and Romans chapter 10. That's the main thrust of the ministry. And then in a secondary sense, okay, I deal with apologetics, and that's the other side of the ministry, the other side of the coin, if you will, debating the issues with any cult or sect. And that's what we're doing right now. But we're looking at the full Greek construction of John 1:1, and we're in that now. But we're actually in John 1:1c, theos in a predicate position. But now I want to go back and look at the whole verse, construction by construction. And I don't think I did that. Well, actually, I tried to do it a couple of times, and my baby and my wife kept on interrupting me. And so my baby and wife are out of the house. Okay, so it's just Anna Devane is the name of my baby. And so, and Riza is the name of my wife. Riza Tabayet now Quinones for 3 years here in the Philippines. And so, I mean, I tried to do it, but I couldn't do it. So, I mean, so we're gonna try to do that again. Looking, we won't dwell on so much detail information. Like, for example, talking about. You're talking about N for about 10 minutes or something like that, and because there's 17 Greek words. So I mean, if you do that, I'm gonna be here for 2 hours, and looking at the full Greek construction in that way. So I mean, I'll touch upon it for maybe 5 minutes, a word or something like that, and hopefully you will know more about it. If you want a John 1:1 full Greek construction, if you wanted to know everything, okay, Greek wise, because we can't know everything about this text, okay, that there is to know, okay, even as we are known. I mean, that'll come later. That'll come, when we see God prosopon, prosopon. Prosopon means face, right? Pros means two, right? In one of the meanings, anyway. And again, prosopon. So prosopon, face to face, or in the Hebrew, panim el panim. Panim el panim, and that's recorded around chapter 34, chapter 33 of Exodus. Panim means face or faces or person or persons or whatever the case may be. El is a preposition, means to, right there. So panim el panim, face to face. Once we see face to face, then we will know him even as he knows us now. That's amazing. Well, let's pray first before we get into the study. Father, in Jesus' name, I come to thee glorifying your holy name because it is great and you are great. You are the King of kings and Lord of lords, and to you every knee shall bow. But we're bowing our hearts now to you, Father, confessing our sins, confessing the sins of our lips, of our minds, of our actions, of things that we should have done and we didn't do. So please cleanse us by the precious blood of Jesus upon that cross so many years ago, and look upon that and not upon our sins, oh Lord, so we could do a wonderful study. So we could do a study that would touch people even after I'm gone from the face of this globe. So we want to study this in the language that one of the languages that you chose for your word. And I just pray that you just wash us by the word. As we study the word, that we're washed by the word. Lord, receive our thanksgiving for everything today. I thank you for salvation, for Christ, first of all, for everything spiritual, the Bible, the Word of God that we have right here in an app. This is an amazing thing. It's an amazing tool, Father, and to whom much is given, much shall be required. So I just pray that you will guide our study and guide our lips and our hearts and our minds, and that we devote them to you right now, Lord. And I just pray in Jesus' name that you receive my thanksgiving for the physical things that I have received today, for the food, the drink, and also for my family, my wife, my baby. I don't know if another baby is on the way, or you know that, Lord, but we need to check that. But I just thank you for all things, and I pray for the peace of Israel in Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. So let's recite this in the biblical pronunciation, or in the so-called standard pronunciation. Okay, the American style pronunciation, whatever you want to call it, seminary Greek or whatever. I call it the biblical pronunciation for now, where there are differences between vowels. Okay, meaning the Omicron and the Omicron, or the Eta and the Eta, and the Iota, I should say. And so there are differences, and so I'll mention the biblical pronunciation now, and then I'll get into the modern pronunciation, where everything is in O, meaning the O classes, and everything is in E, meaning the Eta and the Eta and the Upsilon are Eta and Epsilon. They love the modern Greeks love the E and the O and the E sound. Okay? So, there are differences. So, let me get into the biblical pronunciation first. And we went through that already, It says something like this in the biblical pronunciation, quote, John 1:1. Now, you can find this on page 250 in your United Bible Society's 4th edition, Greek edition, page 250. Quote, Energe en halagas, kai halagas en prastan thean, kai theas en halagas. Energe en halagas, kai halagas en prastan thean, kai theas en halagas. En arche en ha lagos, kai ha lagos, en pras tan thean, kai theas en ha lagos. Okay? Now the modern pronunciation goes something like this, quote, En archi in o logos, ke o logos in pros ton theon, ke theos in o logos. En archi in o logos, ke o logos in pros ton theon, ke theos in o logos. En archi in o logos, ke o logos in pros ton theon, ke theos in o logos. Okay? So you saw the difference there. They love the O there's a lot of O, and then there's a lot of E, and there's a lot of air there that wasn't there before. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? The article, instead of saying ha, it's O. Like in O Canada, the country of Canada, you don't say ha Canada, you say O Canada. And according to the feminine article, the nominative feminine singular article is E. Instead of saying hey, you say E, like in E Turquia, the country of Turkey, you say E Turquia. That's how you say it. You don't just say the country, but you say the article, You mention the article when you read it. You understand what I'm saying? O Canada, E Turquia. There you go. Now, let me repeat some things. We actually last time was talking about theos in the predicate position. Okay, that theos is a predicate adjective, and we spoke about the differences of adjectives and the degrees or the kinds of adjectives. Now, there are several adjectives, and the list goes something like this: predicate adjective, attributive adjective, substantival adjective, and adverbial adjectives. Okay, so you have those. This is a predicate adjective. Okay, and we already went through how can you detect, or how can you recognize, these adjectives. Okay, especially the attributive adjective and the predicate adjective are sort of easy to detect sometimes. It's not a rigid rule. It's not a straight, I call it straitjacketed rule. Okay, it's not like this is the thing all the time and this is the way it is. You could add the word probably in there. You're probably looking at a predicate adjective when it's an arthrous. Okay, you're probably looking at most likely. Okay, you can add that word in there also. Looking at a attributive adjective like you have in 1 John chapter 5 verse 20. Okay, that through God. Well, that's an attributive adjective. This is not an attributive adjective. Okay, but you have predicate adjectives and attributive adjectives in the anarthrous and articular state. Sometimes it comes from an article, sometimes not. Okay, so there are other indicators, there are other clues. Of course, the context is the biggest indicator. How's it being used in the text? Okay, and that's the biggest thing. But there are clues. There are clues that will indicate to you what kind of construction something is in, whether it be a verb like a substantival, not substantival, but a subjunctive verb. There are clues. And then something like this, a predicate adjective, theos in the predicate position. I mean, there are clues, there are indicators. The position of theos, the presence of an aimee word or to be verb. Okay, the absence of the article. I mean, those are all clues indicating to you what kind of predicate adjective, what kind of adjective this is. Okay, because I already gave you the list. And then you have your degrees or kinds of adjectives. Your positive degree, your comparative degree, and your superlative degree. Like that. Okay, so you have your degrees or kinds of adjectives. Okay, and we already mentioned an example, John 14 verse 28. You have there, the word greater. That's in the comparative degree, because Jesus is comparing himself to the Father. So you have two persons being compared there. Now you can compare a person with a thing, or two things, or two persons. Whatever the case may be. But that's a comparative degree because you're comparing two persons. Now, when it's in the positive degree, you're just saying something about one thing or one person. But when you're talking about three or more, then that's the superlative degree, greatest. Okay, greatest. And incidentally, that's not used of the Trinity anywhere. That the Father is the greatest of the three, or something like that. Okay. So, I mean, you don't see that anywhere in the Bible. Now, Jesus became man. He became anthropos. You understand what I'm saying? He became anthropos. Egeneto is used in verse 14 in this text. Okay, that he became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. Glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Okay, so we see that from verse 4 right here. It says over here, Kai ha lagos sarx. The root of sarx is sark, right? So it's kasi there, sarx, sarks, or sigma alpha rho. Looks like a P, but it's not a P, it's an R. And then when you're looking at something that looks like a P in Greek, always pronounce it with an R sound. Okay, like Randy, Ralph, Roof, like that. You understand what I'm saying? Sarx. And then you have egeneta. So it says, and the word became flesh. Now I think the Hebrew word there is basar. Could be basar or. I gotta check that out. But it's either or. No pun intended. You understand what I'm saying? Or means like skin, and basar means flesh. I mean, if you're quoting from the Hebrew Bible, Jewish scriptures concerning Job chapter 19, around verses 25, 26, like that, where Job says, though my my skin is eaten away, though worms destroy. I don't think the Hebrew word for worms is there, but though my skin is eaten by worms, yet in my basar, yet in my flesh, I shall see God. So he's talking about his resurrection state, that he will have a new body, but that body is going to be of flesh. That same flesh that is destroyed will be reconstructed, will be repaired. You know what I'm saying? It's not another body that we're going to be given. It's going to be the same body. This mortal shall put on immortality. So you put immortality over the mortal. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, to quote a chapter that JW likes to quote, or misquote, by the way. Kai ha lagos sex egeneta. And then it says Kai. Okay, Eskenosen. That's the augment there. That's like the ed in English. Eskenosen, tabernacled or dwelt. Right. Aorist is an aorist tense. It's the third person, by the way. And Hamin, dwelt among us. You see how the preposition "and" can actually be translated into "among" also, even "with" sometimes. Okay, WITH. And okay, efe asameta. Okay, efe asameta. Okay, and there's a frog in the house. Okay, that's the way this Philippines deal is. Tain doxon. That's funny. Tain doxon autu. Okay, of his glory. Okay, autu is his, is in the genitive, and glory is doxon. And we have seen. It says over here the glory. Tain is a feminine adjective. Doxon, hos, and then mana genus, para, patras. Okay, that's in the genitive there. Patras, pleiades. That's full. And then caritas of grace, that's in the genitive. And aletheas and truth. Okay, so that's in the genitive. So we saw his he was full of grace and truth. Okay. Now getting back to this though. So let's look at every single construction there is in this text. You only got 17 Greek words here. Okay, it's almost like John 17:3. I think it's 18 Greek words there in some manuscripts. In some manuscripts, you have an appendix, sort of, into this world. And you see that New Testament in a volume of John, New Testament Greek manuscripts arranged and edited by Reuben Swanson and forwarded by the great Greek scholar Bruce and Metzger. Okay, you see the variant readings on one page of John 17:3 and all the verses of John. Okay. We already went into the very readings of this. This has different readings. What do you mean different readings? Well, different manuscripts. Some manuscripts doesn't have the entire verse. Some manuscripts do. The ones that do are, P66, P75, Sinaiticus or Sinaiticus, Sinaiticus, whatever, Vaticanus or Vaticanus has this whole text. And Greek editions have this. Some Greek editions have this whole text. The Byzantine text form by Pierpont and Company, published in 2005. That has this beautiful Greek New Testament, by the way. It's a Byzantine text, but this is a beautiful Bible. You can get it at Amazon.com, and then the United Bible Society's 4th edition and 5th edition. And, of course, your Textus Receptus Greek Interlinears has this. Your Alfred Marshall Greek Interlinear has this, based on the most ancient authorities. The TR is based on, on later texts. And then, I mean, so you have this in several, but there's a problem with the C manuscript, like in Carr, known as manuscript 04 or Ephraimi Prescriptus. I mean, it doesn't have anything except a prepositional phrase. In beginning, after that, it breaks off. So that's useless to us. It's useless. And then either the D or F manuscript, okay, I don't have it in front of me. It's back in New York. If it's survived the flood in my brother's house, that has, okay, the first independent clause, you know, Energein Halagos. After that, that breaks off. So that's useless to us when it comes to, you know, part B and C, because there is no part B and C in that text. But, you know, this was the original, and so we hold to it. Now, because of the evidence of P66 and 75 and Vaticanus and etc. But I already mentioned that you can give and after this, you know, I'll get into the constructions that are here. You can get into that volume of John, New Testament Greek manuscripts, and you can see that the L manuscript, this is like an 8th or 9th century manuscript, has an extra article in front of Theos in John 1:1c, which I affectionately call the Caesarean section. Because if you're born again, you're going to believe in the deity of Christ. It's just all into it. Now, if you're born again, you're going to believe in the deity and the humanity of Christ. You know, one person, but yet, okay, two natures, which I call nature A or B, nature A and B, okay, nature A and B, I should say, and nature, or nature 1 and nature 2. Okay, you have to make sure you say and, not or. Well, let's get into it now. Okay, so for the first time, we're going to look at every single construction in one study. Okay, bird's eye view, but we're going to look at it. Okay, 17 Greek words, around 14 or 15 different Greek letters, around over 50 Greek letters in all. Not different, but you know, just total. And that's about it. So it's a small verse. It's not a big verse. Now, let's start with the first one. Now, remember that you read Greek from left to right, never from right to left, unless you're doing certain things. I'll get into those things in a little while. I don't want to mention it now, but you do read from left to right always, if you're reading it. You understand what I mean? Now, you read it like you do French, Spanish, Latin. English. Now you read from right to left when you're reading Hebrew, Aramaic, stuff like that. You know, the older, you know, the dead languages like that. You know. So after the one, we're going from left to right. Okay, see the one on the top, left. That's where we're at. Now you see the E there, right? Capital E. Well, that's a capital epsilon in Greek. Epsilon. And so that's easy to detect. But then there's a V-looking letter that's not a V. So if you're looking at a V-looking letter like this, in Greek, always pronounce it N like in Nancy. N. Okay, so you have N. It's not Ev, it's N. Okay? That N is called, in Biblical Greek, Nu, like N-U. That's the name of it. And then, in modern Greek, it's called Ni, like you know, hurt your knee, like that. But we're staying with biblical pronunciation, so, I mean, you know, but I just wanted you to be well-rounded with the tool. So it's not Ev, it's N. Okay, so just remember the V-looking letter in Greek is not a V. Okay, it's an N. Okay. Modern Greek has a V. Okay, is Vita, and that's what we call beta is the B-looking letter, like in Bible. That could be a B or a V in modern Greek, but there's no V in Biblical Greek. There's no W in Biblical Greek. Okay. So this is a preposition. Okay, this is a preposition, and a preposition, according to Emmanuel Grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana and Manti, one of the great manuals out there. You have other manuals which I will mention, but you have that one, and that popped on the scene like around 1950. And some things need to be revived. I understand that, but that's still a great manual. And that says that prepositions were probably adverbs. Now, I like the way, okay, the manual grammar of the Greek New Testament has the prepositions. It has each preposition like on the top, like a title. It looks like almost like a title, right? And then it has the exclamation. It breaks it down, okay, on each preposition. Like for example, it has ana and anti, and en has this one, and ek, right? And then apa, meta, upa, pras, pra, peri. I mean, so you have around 17 or so Greek prepositions, and they're listed. But they're listed after each other, not like on a list, but after each other anyway, And so the meaning of the preposition will be determined by the context, of course, because the Greek word "en" can be translated into "with," it could be translated into "in," it could be translated into "among." I mean, you see "among us," right? I mean, you see "and," and then you see in verse 14, you have prepositions all over the place in the prologue. Okay, and it's right. I believe it's right here. And hemin. Okay, among us. So it's among right there. The translation will be among right there. Not in us, but among us. Okay. So the preposition will be determined by its context. A preposition like this. This preposition can only take one case. And I'll let you know what a case is in a few minutes. Okay, so the meaning of the preposition can be determined by the context, and also will be determined by the word, okay, the upcoming word, which it in the case that it takes, okay. So if the object of the preposition, because you have the preposition and the object of the preposition right here, you have "en," and then you have arche. Arche is the object of the preposition. And so it's in a specific case. So because it's in a specific case, okay, "en" will be translated because of the case that the next word is going to be in, which is arche in the dative case. So because it's in the dative case, it's going to be translated, meaning the preposition "en," into the English "in." Okay, in the beginning. Now over here, there's no article. The article would be te, because arche is in the dative feminine singular construction. So if you're going to put a article before this, it's going to be te. It's not going to be to. It's going to be te. To is can be masculine, or it can be it is a masculine, and it is a neuter construction. You know what I'm saying? It's the same construction for the two genders. It's not gonna be that, because it's a feminine word. You know what I'm saying? It's a singular. It's not like in the plural that's found and recorded in verse 10 of chapter 1 of Hebrews. Okay, where you see you see if I could I'll find that later when I'm talking about it. But so anyway, the most important thing to know about a preposition is that a preposition, the translation of the preposition will be determined by the upcoming word's case. Okay, that's very important, because some prepositions can take, all prepositions take at least one case. Some prepositions take two cases. Some take three cases. So according to the case that the upcoming word is in, okay, the object of the preposition, not the article, but the object of the preposition, right? And then, I mean, according to that case, then the preposition will be translated according to that case, and of course the context, because I already showed you that "en," okay, which can mean "in," is translated not "in," but "among." Okay, among us, not in us, but among us. Okay, you understand? So the preposition, what does a preposition do? Well, a preposition, okay, shows you the relationship between two things, or two persons, or a thing and a person. Okay? In this situation, it's showing you the relationship that Logos has with Arche, that he was in the beginning. He wasn't over the beginning, he wasn't under the beginning, he was alongside the beginning, he was in the beginning. So a preposition will show you the relationship between two words. Okay? Two words. Logos and Arche is showing you the relationship that they have with each other, okay, which is very important. Okay. Now, so N is spelled out E-N in the transliteration, English transliteration, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because also a verb here is transliterated in English into En, also the Greek word ein, which means was. Incidentally, the preposition and object of the preposition anarche are translated into bereshit in Hebrew, in the Hebrew New Testament. Remember, there are Hebrew New Testaments. And there are Hebrew New Testaments that have in its pages Jesus saying of himself, Ehyeh. No one can say that of himself except Yahweh. Okay? Now I'm thinking of Mouse's Complete Expository Dictionary of Old and New Testament words. Okay? And he talks about Haya, and he talks about, that's a to be word in Hebrew, can be a to be word in Hebrew, to be, you know, like Amy, if you will, like that, you know. The Tetragrammaton, okay, is a third-person form of Haya, okay, third-person form, and then the word Echiak, which is equal to the Tetragrammaton, is equal to it. It's his name. That's the name of God. Just Yahweh is a memorial name. That's why, you know, people remember it more, I guess, right? Because it's the memorial name. But JWs knew, okay, and know that Echiak is equal to the Tetragrammaton. That's why they wrote a pamphlet way back in the 1960s, either 61 or 62, that's entitled, you know, The Word, Who Is He? And I get into the discussion when I talk about, you know, Jesus calling himself Echiak, you know, which he did in two Hebrew New Testaments of the 1817 and the 1880 edition of the Hebrew New Testament, you know, according to John chapter 8, verse 58. As a damning piece of evidence against the witnesses that Jesus used, okay, Echiak. Now, they say he doesn't. They pop out two Hebrew New Testaments that he didn't say of himself Echiak, just Ani probably. But there are two Hebrew New Testaments which Jesus did say Echiak of himself. And nobody can say that of himself except for Yahweh. Okay. Echiak is equal to the Tetragrammaton. But let's get back to this. So, yeah, unfortunately, you know, there are two words here transliterated into En in English. In, Greek word en, and was, the Greek word ein. Nowadays called ein. You understand what I'm saying? Was. Haya in Hebrew. Bereshit haya hadabar, hadabar hayaim ha'elohim, or, you know, ha'elohim, va'elohim, or wa'elohim, haya hadabar. Okay, va or wa, I mean, you know, and, you know, in Hebrew, it doesn't make a difference to me how you pronounce the word and in Hebrew, you know. You know, my friend used to say, Gilberto Corona, different strokes for different folks, you understand what I'm saying? Right now, so en is a preposition. It's spelled out epsilon nu, and it's describing, showing you the relationship of two words. In this situation, showing you the relationship that logos had with beginning. Okay, so en is a preposition, a small preposition, and a preposition probably were adverbs a very, very long time ago. Now let's get to the second Greek word. Okay, the second Greek word is spelled out, okay, I'll say it in English first, A-R-C-H-E. Now, you can say to me, well, it looks like A, P, X, and N. Well, we'll get into that. There are two different ways of saying this that I'll bring up, okay? Arche, that's the biblical pronunciation. Archi is the modern pronunciation. Well, what does arche mean? Well, let's check it out. Let's go to this app, okay? And this is very important because you have to understand that arche can be translated into, it has a semantic range. It has different meanings. Okay, we'll get into that, and I don't have to do anything else actually. Okay, so let me see. This is wrong though. This is Acts. How did I get into Acts? Let's pull it down just a little bit. And let's just poke the bear here again. Let's make sure this time. Okay, John. And that's about it. So we have in the beginning, the word the is in brackets because there is no te here. Okay. Te will be the article that will match arche, the dative singular feminine construction. And so let's check it out. So let's look at 746. Okay, 746. N is tagged by the Strong's number 1722. Why you say Strong's and it's like G something? Well, G means Greek, probably. When it's talking about the Hebrew side of Strong's, well, they'll tuck in an H there. So let's look at 746. 746, let me see, is the number tagging arche. Before I get into this, the Oxford Dictionary of Greek, okay, of the Greek language, has arche, and has different meanings for arche, beginning, and rula, okay, a rule. You have to understand that there are different meanings behind the word arche. Definition says over here, A, it says rule. You have to understand that rule, kingly, says over here. Okay? And then B, it says over here, let me see over here. Let me get into C though, because C really talks about what we're talking about, beginning. So A and C has here rule, and then C has beginning. Okay, those are the possible meanings of arche. Okay, arche. Spelled out, okay, transliterated into A-R-C-H-E. Now, the lexical form is alpha rho, chi, eta. Okay, alpha, which is A, rho, which looks like a P, is not a P. Remember, I already said that the one letter looks like our English V, nu, but it's an N. So be careful when you're reading Greek that you don't just pronounce it like you pronounce all the time English letters, because some of these letters looks like our English letters, but they don't sound like our English letters, and they're not our English letters, some of these letters. Okay? The P-looking letter is not a P, it's an R, so that's way off. The X-looking letter is a CH, chi. So it's not even an X. And then the N-looking letter is not even an N. Okay, we already looked at what an N looks like. Okay, it looks like a V when it's not capitalized. When it's capitalized, it looks like an N. Okay, fine and dandy. But that N-looking letter in our che is not an N, it's an E, like in the word they. It's an E class, okay? It's called eta, according to Biblical Greek. Now, according to modern Greek, it's called eta. So it's actually an I class. So, I mean, there's a big difference. But let's stay with the biblical pronunciation. Arche can mean rule or ruler or beginning. Okay? So that's just the deal. So let's go back to our other app over here. Alpha Rho Chi Eta. Okay? Or A-R-C-H-E. But. So that's alpha, lambda, alpha, right? Okay? Or de. So this comes in a particular case. Now, the paradigm of arche, okay, before we get into the cases, okay, goes something like this, because there is a model for this word, okay? There is a model. Now, the word paradigm is a very deep thing, okay? It's your outlook on something. It's a very deep philosophical term, okay, paradigm. On the surface, it really means, okay, model or example, but it's deeper than that. It has a lot of, philosophical mumbo jumbo attached to it. You understand what I'm saying? Let's just say that for our use right now, there is already a paradigm, okay, of the word arche, okay? And it goes something like this. Arche, okay, arches, with a S, arche with a little tiny I in the end, and this has that. Okay, I'll explain that in a second. And then archein with a V-looking letter that's an N. Okay, archein. Okay, and hopefully maybe I could bring that to you the next time in a paradigm that I can actually draw up. Okay, in one of these apps over here. I mean, these notebook apps or whatever it is, that I have. Okay. Now, if you want a word to function in a certain way, well, you're going to have to change the construction. Okay? According to the verbs, okay, some verbs, you can change it a lot. Okay? A lot. I mean, I'm talking about a lot. Can change. Can be added also. Okay? But according to the nouns, okay, it doesn't really change a lot, though. It doesn't change a lot. Like in the Greek word tetelestai, not like in the Greek word tetelestai, but in the Greek word tetelestai, okay, my English is really getting bad here in the Philippines. There's a lot of changes going on. And, the debt has been paid in full, like that. What Jesus said on the cross, tetelestai. I mean, you have the reduplicating consonant that went on in the perfect tense and the connecting vowel and all this stuff, and then all these endings and whatever the case may be, or in the word stesetai. I mean, you have the stem, he will stand, or you have the future tense formative being added there because it's in the future tense, and then you have a connecting vowel, and then you have a personal ending tie. I mean, you have a lot of stuff that changes in verbs that you have to look out for. You understand what I mean? Okay? Yeah, stuff. But the nouns, they're a little bit more simple than the verb constructions, though. It's more simple. Okay? Now, when I say nouns, I'm not talking about verbal nouns, infinitives. I mean, those are verbal nouns. Okay? That's infinitives. Incidentally, over here, you got a finite, or a word that's not infinite, finite, limited, or a verb, ein. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Actually, that's the next Greek word, as a matter of fact. Like I said before, translated into haya, into was, in Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? And, Bereshit haya hadabar, right? But the word arche has an extra letter in this situation. Well, where's the letter? I just see alpha, rho, chi, and eta, or A-R-C-H-E. I mean, I don't see no I. Where's the I? Well, because this is a long vowel, eta, okay, there is in Greek something called a diphthong. Now, incidentally, I already mentioned the manual grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana and Manti, which is one of the best, but it has two different spellings of diphthong on page 20 in one of their earlier editions. Okay, and probably the first edition. I mean, it has two different spellings: diphthong and diphthong, and I think that's why some people get confused how to say that, because maybe it came from that. Okay. And that's not the only manual that has spelling mistakes. I mean, Greek for the Rest of Us has some errors in it. Wonderful book by Mounds. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not. That's for my wife. That's Tita Grace. Tita is like Auntie Grace. And it'd probably be interrupted again, but But like I was saying, and it broke my concentration. Diphthongs, okay, are called improper. This is an improper diphthong. What is that? Well, there's a little tiny I written underneath the vowel. That can only happen in three situations. It could only be written under the eta, this letter, the alpha, and the omega. Okay? So you have like regular diphthongs, like for example, there's one in verse 2. Okay, there's one in there's one in verse 1. There's several in verse 1. Let's just stick with verse 1. We're talking about verse 1. Chi. Well, the alpha iota, that's a diphthong. What is a diphthong? Well, a diphthong is different than the one we're talking about, but let's see the difference. A diphthong is a combination of two vowels blending together, making one sound, like in the word eight, E-I-G-H-T. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number 8. The E and the I in that what is a diphthong. It's a combination of two vowels coming together, blending together, making one sound. Okay. You have it in the Greek word chi. Now, the modern pronunciation is actually ke. So they pronounce that diphthong alpha iota e in modern terms. But in biblical pronunciation, it's pronounced I. So this word is pronounced chi. And that word can mean and, also, even, I believe both. It has a lot of it has a wide semantic range in the semantic pool. So, the little tiny I written underneath the eta, which looks like an N, but it's not an N, it's an E, like I said before, like in the word day, okay? A. The Hebrew sound of A is actually made by two little dots. It's like a Braille C. And side by side. And that's sere. And two little dots. That makes the A sound, okay, in Hebrew. So dots and dashes and stuff like that will be the vowels in Hebrew. So like a dot over a letter, you're probably looking at an O class. One dot underneath a letter, you're probably looking at an I class. Two dots underneath the letter, you're looking at an E class. Three dots underneath the letter, you're looking at another E class. Okay, and then that's just it. That's it. One dash underneath a letter, you're looking at an A class, like in the word hat. A T-looking thingy underneath a letter in Hebrew, you're looking at the A class. Okay, comments, or it could be an O class sometimes. So you have to be careful with that. You understand what I'm saying? And then you have the U class, a dot written on the side of the letter, a consonant like the nu. Okay, that could be a vowel there, the whole thing. Like in a domino piece, you know, the three, like in a domino piece, like a sort of like how do you say, slantic, you know, set of dots, like three dots. That's a U class also, and it's as simple as that in Hebrew. But in this situation in Greek, right? And some Greek letters came from Paleo Hebrew, by the way. Now remember, what we have in our Bibles is not actually Hebrew; it's Aramaic script. Okay, the Paleo Hebrew is the stuff that Moses or Moshe wrote, you know, and other writers of the Bible. About 40 writers of the Jewish scriptures, okay, wrote the Bible into Aramaic and Hebrew. So Paleo Hebrew, that's Hebrew. So some of this stuff comes from Paleo Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a little tiny I underneath it. So that's not a diphthong like alpha and iota. And actually, by the way, sometimes be careful with that, because sometimes the vowels that are written back to back like that, like in the word Moses, is not to be pronounced together. Okay, and you have talking about a set of dots above two vowels like that will let you know that it's to be pronounced separately. You know, so you can break up the letters. Okay, so I mean, it's not all the time being blended together, the vowels. You know what I mean? Especially in names. So you have to be careful with that. So, but there's a little tiny I. Well, that's a case ending. What do you mean a case ending? Well, this is in a dative case. What do you mean a dative case? Well, this is the case of interest, if you will. You understand what I mean? There are several cases in Greek, and I already went through them, but let me go through the whole entire list. Not just, you know, the garden variety that nowadays is being taught. Let's go back several decades. Because it's good to learn, because I mean, if you're looking at older books and you're looking at, some cases that I'm going to be bringing up, and you don't know what they're about, well, then you're stuck. You just learn like 4 or 5 cases nowadays, if you're even learning 5, and you don't know the older cases. So let's check out all of the cases of the Greek noun. Well, you have your nominative case, the case of designation, right? You have your genitive case, the case of description, attribution, or definition, right? Possession, if you will. Sometimes, it has a rich. The genius of the genitive case is its limiting nature as to kind. What kind of a heart? What kind of the kingdom? To quote that manual again, manual grammar, Greek New Testament. And then you have the vocative case, which is the case, one use, the case of direct address, when someone is speaking to another person, or whatever the case may be. Okay? So that's the vocative case. So far we have the nominative case, the case of designation, right? Okay, God is spirit, right? So the word God, hatheos, okay, it's going to be in a nominative case. That's the subject there. There's no verb there, okay? So, pneuma is in the predicate position there, right? So, God is spirit. So, and that's in the verse 24, chapter 4 of this book. So, that's in a nominative case. For the Father loved the Son. I mean, who's doing the action of loving? Well, the Father, pater. He will be in the nominative, and it'll be a specific construction. Okay? So, the vocative case is something like this. Thy throne, O God. He's using O God there, okay, to address the Son. He's calling him O God with special definiteness, right? I already went through that in the Hebrews 1, verse 8 construction. Praise the Lord, he gets the glory, not me. In like manner, the Son calls the Father God in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 7. Same construction, hatheos, but is used as a vocative. See, the'e also as a vocative as well. The word for God, the'e. Remember the paradigm for God. Now remember, there's a feminine side of the paradigm. Theon, what an alpha though. And you see that recorded in Praxis Apostolon, the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 19, where it mentions God is there. Okay, Theon, what an alpha. Theon, what an alpha. Okay, Theon, actually. And probably different constructions, other different constructions in the Greek Septuagint, right? So, staying with this, though, I don't want to really mention theos too much because it's going to go to another word, though, but I want to stay with arche, meaning it means beginning here. Incidentally, the Jehovah's Witness Bible, let's check that out, doesn't even say in the beginning. Okay, let's check that out. Okay, I just want to mention that really quickly. It's a little bit of hypocrisy there because there is no article, and they're probably going to get a commercial here, some kind of advertisement for their app style. It's kind of frustrating. Okay, so let's see if we can just get out of that, though, because there's that's the thing about these kind of and I press cancel over there. All right, so there's a lot of advertisement and stuff like that in Jehovah's Witness. This is the only Bible. I mean, I'm not gonna criticize it too much, but it's the only Bible app that I have that has a lot of advertisements in it. I mean, a lot. So I mean, if that that's the way they're paying for their app, I don't know. Chapter 1, verse 1, it says something like this. In the beginning. It's not even in brackets, the word the. It's not in the Greek. Now, we all know that the arche is definite, but still, why don't they have theos and the predicate position being definite as well? Hi, sweetheart.
Hello.
How's the baby? Okay, hon. Oh, okay. And so, let me see over here. Okay, so the cases, let's keep on with the cases in Greek, the cases, so it's very important, the way words operate, or words are constructed to show how they're functioning in a text, though. So we mentioned the nominative case, right? Okay, and then we mentioned the genitive case, in the vocative case. And let's mention now the dative case, and this is in the dative case, arche. And there's a little tiny I indicating the dative case, the dative singular. So that's how that's how they form the dative singular. Okay. They put, now what is this over there? What's that over there? They put a little tiny I underneath the eta, and so they made a dative out of it by putting a little I underneath it. Okay. Also, I want to mention about arche, which means beginning here. How you say beginning in your language, honey? Beginning in your language in Cebuano.
Beginning?
Yeah.
The primero or
How you say primero?
in the beginning?
Yeah.
Sa
Like
una or primero like that.
gramero?
Primero, yeah.
How you spell it?
Per.
Oh, with a T, ter.
Per.
Ter.
Per. P.
P.
Yeah. Primero.
Permero. Okay, permero. Permero. Okay, that's interesting. En permero. Okay. Excuse me, guys. I just took the vaccine, actually, the second dose. On November what was it? November the 19th, I think it was. And so I'm feeling the tail end of the Pfizer vaccine, you know. And I'm not coughing as much as I did, but you know. So arche, okay, is in a dative case. Is that what I'm saying? Now, if it's in a nominative case, it will be arche without an I. It will just be alpha rho, and you can see it here. Let me put it here, because you can see it. I wish I could have drawn up the paradigm myself. But you see, you know, in some Greek interlinears, you do see some constructions, you know. So you see here underneath the number, it says 746. You see the nominative form, because that's a lexical form. So you see arche there. You see alpha, rho, chi, eta, okay, or A-R-C-H-E. You see the spelling, the English spelling transliteration above the number, okay. So it has the translation beginning. It has the construction in the text, arche in the dative with the little tiny I indicating the dative case, okay. And then you have the transliteration, arche, A-R-C-H-E. And then you have the Strong's number. There is a GK number, by the way, but this is the Strong's number. And then below the Strong's number, you have the lexical form, which is the nominative form of the noun, okay, arche, okay. And so that's it. What is this here? And so you have that there, though, and then you have another sort of transliteration underneath it, though, but you have like a accented version of it, A-R-C-H-E with an accent, okay? And that's it. Basically, you have all that stuff. So you have two pieces of the paradigm here in this app. I guess that's the Greek P I'm spitting out, you understand what I'm saying? Arche in the dative and arche in the nominative. Now, if you reverse that, you put arche and then arches with a sigma, like in Logos, right? And then arche, the way we have it here, with a little tiny I. And then archein with a nu, like the appears in the Greek preposition en. Well, that's your whole paradigm for the singular. But, I want to show you this, though. This is very interesting. That Jesus created things by the work of his hands in the beginnings. Plural. Where is that? A JW might say. Well, that's in Hebrews. Let's check that out. Okay, let's check that out. Looking at the plural, so, you know, a little bit of the plural here. And it'll probably be in two forms, actually. But the nominative probably, you know, the singular probably it won't be in two, you know, different forms that we didn't see. But anyway. Let's look at verse 10, okay? Staying with our che. Okay? Now I'm going beyond the thresholds of my minutes, okay? You understand what I'm saying? It says over here, okay, the beginning, but it's actually beginnings though. So I don't know why it says because this is actually beginnings though. You understand what I'm saying? Archas. Okay, so I mean that's plural. Check that out. Right over here. It says over here, okay, this is what is this over here? Feminine what? In the plural, it says over here. Okay? As an accusative case. So this is beginnings actually. So I don't know why they say they have beginning here. Okay? Beginning, but this is beginnings actually. You understand what I'm saying? So that's in a plural. Okay, archas. What does it say over here? It's very interesting. It says, and you, or a kai su. Looks like an E, but it's actually an S. It's a capital S and it's sigma, which means to synchronize, by the way, the sigma. In, it says kat, short for kata. The beginnings, though. Okay, archas. That's alpha rho chi, alpha sigma. Alpha with an acute marker. Kyrie, he's speaking to the Lord. This is an evocative. So he actually calls, meaning God the Father actually calls him, okay, God in verse 8, hatheos in the vocative, right? There's an evocative, no doubt. Hatheos right there with special definiteness. You understand what I'm saying? And he calls him Yahweh, according to Psalm 102, which Yahweh appears 9 times there in that text, okay, that psalm. One time does the word God appear there in the singular El, okay? Maybe because he's talking to his son, right? You understand what I'm saying? It says, and you, in the beginnings, actually. It's a plural. In the beginnings, a Lord, and so he calls him Lord. So the Father is calling Jesus Lord. He's still talking to him, though. Just because he says that he has a God in verse 9, we don't deny that. But why does he have a God? We go to Zechariah. Okay, Zechariah, and we'll check that out. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 8. You see the secret of why, okay, Jesus has a God in the New Testament. Okay, in the New, not in the Old. Remember that Stasetai is in the Greek Septuagint. He will rise, or he will stand. You understand what I'm saying? So this idea that you can use, verse 4, chapter 5 of Malachi, or Micah, I should say, to try to prove as a JW that he had a God in the Old Testament. Well, no, he will. The word will is in the future. In the Greek, you add, you put something in the future tense by adding an S. Okay, an S. It's as simple as I can say it. Sometimes it'll be kasi, sometimes it'll be psi. But the sigma, the transformative sigma, is there used, and that means he will rise, he will stand. That's in the future that he'll have a God. But let's go to Zechariah. Okay, we already mentioned that. So if you want to see my work on Micah chapter 5 verse 3 in the Greek Septuagint, you can check that out. How to answer a witness if he so uses, so chooses to use that Jesus had a God in the Old Testament. You say no, that's in the future. Okay, that's in the future. Will is in the future, guys. The future. The future. Well, let's look at Zechariah. I want to look at Zechariah. Why? Well, let me look at it. Zechariah. And Zechariah is here in chapter 3 and then verse 8. And that's just the deal. Now listen, Joshua. Now listen, Joshua, the high priest, you and your friends, okay, who are sitting in front of you. Indeed, they are men who are a symbol, okay, for behold, I am going to bring in my servant, the branch. There you go. That's why he has a God. End quote, by the way. That's why you got to tell the witnesses. Zechariah chapter 3 verse 8 forever settles the issue why Jesus has a God. It's not according to creaturehood. There is no such thing according to the doctrine of Christo. There's no such thing. But it's according to servanthood that he has a God. My servant, the branch. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? He wasn't created. It doesn't say, like I said before, in the Greek text of John, it doesn't say "Enarche epoias and hatheas tan lagan." In the beginning, God created the logos. It doesn't have that scenario. Indeed, it doesn't have any of the 7 scenarios or 8 scenarios that I gave Jehovah's Witnesses to play around with. It doesn't have that there in the text. In the beginning, God created the Logos. In the beginning, the Word emerged. In the beginning was the Son. In the beginning, God created the Son. In the beginning was the angel. In the beginning was Michael. In the beginning was the Son. Bereshit bara Elohim hadabar. In the beginning, God created the what? Doesn't have that even in the Hebrew New Testament. You understand? Good. So it says it has. Okay, has. Let me see over here. This is right there. It says over here, you have. Let me see over there. That's actually that's what I'll put that up. And you, kai su, kat. That's in addition there. Kat, beginnings or beginning. It says over here, archas. Okay, all right, Lord, Kurie. So he calls him Jehovah, according to Psalm 102. This is a quotation from Psalm 102, where the Tetragrammaton appears 9 times in the text there. So not only did the Father call Jesus God, the God, by the way, Hatheos, with special definiteness, but he calls him Jehovah to boot. Call him Jehovah here. Kurie, that's in the vocative case. In the vocative case, you see the epsilon there, okay? Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So, Kurie, it's like the right? Kurie, the right? Like that. Kurie, and it says over here, tain, so the upcoming word is feminine, okay, all right? Earth, that's gain, in the accusative. Same construction in the Greek Septuagint, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, okay, all right? Erarche, epoias, and hateas, tan uranan kai tain gain. Gain is here. Tain gain. Is tain gain here? Tain though? Did I say tain? Yeah. Tain gain is here, just like in Genesis, Greek Septuagint. Okay, laid the foundation. Okay, efe me li osas. And wait a minute. I thought he was in the passive voice. Who was in the passive voice? Creation. I thought that God the Father did everything. Hey, he said that you. It says over here, laid the foundations, and okay, Greek word kai, and okay, works, okay, erga of the hands. Ton, that's in the genitive plural. As a matter of fact, keron, that's in the genitive plural. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Construction. All right. It's in the feminine, I believe. Geron, actually. Geron. Work of thy hands. Of thy hands. Of you. Su. From the paradigm su soy se. You understand what I'm saying? Su, S-O-U or sigma omicron upsilon, showing the genitive case, the genitive opposition this time. Okay? The works of your hands. So don't tell me that this is in a passive voice, meaning that's in a passive voice in John chapter 1, verse 3, and he didn't do anything at all. He did. He did create. Don't give me that. God the Father says this is the work of his hands. His hands. Not the work of my hands through you, merely like that. Though that would be good enough anyway. Who cares? But he spells it out. He spits it out. He spits it out right in your face. You see what I'm saying? He created all things through Logos, yeah. But all this stuff is the work of his hands. The Logos is hands. You know what I'm saying? Logos is, I don't want to say Logos, you know. Let's get back. So there is a paradigm, okay, for, for arche in the plural. And archas is one of those, okay, constructions. Okay, archas with an alpha sigma. You understand what I'm saying? Archas. Archon is another construction, okay, in the plural genitive, archon. And probably archa will be in the accusative aploto. You understand what I'm saying? That'll be very interesting to see that paradigm. Is it arxi? Can it be something like that for the data plural, right? So I want to see that. I never saw that before. You can kind of figure it out a little bit by seeing how things work. But sometimes that's not you have to see some paradigms though, because the word Jesus doesn't fully decline. I mean, so you just can't say, oh well, Yesu. I'm sorry, Jesus, Yesu, Yeso. No, there's no such thing. Yesu, Jesus, Yesu, Yesu, and Yesun. I mean, so you have to see the paradigm of some of these things. You know what I'm saying? You can make your educated guesses, but when things don't reflect, like some names you see in the Greek New Testament, like Abraham and David, and I mean, you see them as as the subject and the object of these clauses, and it's the same thing in Greek. So you have to just be careful with that and just say that, like, if you never saw it before. I never saw arche in the plural before, but you can easily get books like that, and you could take your educated guesses, and kind of do that, Remember, there's over 5,000 Greek words in the Greek New Testament, and I believe over 138,000 words. Not different words, but words that are repeated and stuff like that in the Greek New Testament. All right, now arche is in the dative case, and that's showing interest. Arche is in, and there's some key words for the dative. In, with, by. I mean, it's just some can be, some prepositions can be. It's articles, like when you say, te, arche. I mean, in some articles you can do that. You can use some. You can just like to lago can mean by the word, okay. So what I'm saying? So by the word of the Lord, to logo, actually it will be like that in the Greek Septuagint, verse I think it's 6 Psalm 32. So I mean, the article can kind of point that out a little bit. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's go on to ein. Okay, now the Greek word arche is found 55 times in the Greek New Testament, and is also found and recorded in Genesis 1:1. And arche epoes en hate astan uranan kai tain gain. Okay, behreshit bara Elohim, etc., etc., etc. in Hebrew. Now, so ein, that's an interesting word. Ein is an Amy word. Okay, it is spelled out eta nu, nowadays called eta and ni. But eta and nu with the soft breathing marker, so it's not hey, it's a, and you got the circumflex overhead, right? You got the circumflex there. So I'm at the third word, the second line now, right underneath the one. Ein, nowadays called in. Enarchein o logos, ke o logos in prostonte ankete os in o logos. O enarche ein halagas kai halagas in prostonte on kai te as in halagas. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go to the videotape. Let's go to this app. Excuse me, guys. And let's go to John's Gospel. Okay, let's check out this Greek word. Haggai. Let's look at John, Praxis Apostolon, Juan in Spanish. Juan, actually in Cebuano, in Tagalog, will be Juan, right? I don't have to do nothing there. Let's check that out. The Greek word ein, like I said before, be careful with the transliteration. Look at the transliteration, okay? Now, the transliteration will have a little tiny, marker above it telling you that's really like a, like in the word they. But after that, it's en, just like the preposition. So the English transliteration is en for n and en for ein. So, I mean, so just concentrate on the Greek. The Greek is eta and nu with those markers like I told you before. And it means was. Okay? Tagged by 1510. Let's see what that means. 15:10. I hope I did it right. Definition. Okay, I exist. I am. Okay? All right. So that's a to be word. Where is it at? Tagged by 1510. Okay, or 1510, according to the Greek strong side of things. The lexical form is Amy, epsilon iota mu iota, or epsilon iota mi iota. The M is called something else, but it's the same thing. M like in Mary, Incidentally, Mary is found 27 times in the Greek New Testament. Nowhere is she called Basilisa, okay, or queen in the Bible, okay. I mean, you couple that with the information that Jesus is found 917 times. Now, I know there's another Jesus there, Jesus called Justice. I understand that. But 917 times is Jesus, the word Jesus, found in the Greek New Testament compared to a measly 27 times that Mary is found in the Greek New Testament. Okay, 27 to 917. Incidentally, also, to attack another cult and sect, the King James only group, which has no biblical foundation, no pun intended, we just looked at foundation that Jesus laid right in the beginnings. They actually say that we deleted Jesus, okay, in our translation, but the cold hard facts is that Jesus is found more in the NIV by a count of 1,241 to 971 times. By a count of 270 times more. Is the NIV? Listen, the NIV has Jesus 270 times more than the King James. The name Jesus. Now you may say to me, well, but sometimes it's autos. Well, that's what we're trying to tell you guys. Sometimes it's not the name Jesus. Sometimes it's just he. And that's what we're trying to say. That's our argument, though. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? All right. So that takes care of the King James only, knuckleheads that are going around, dividing churches and dividing pastors and dividing friendships and breaking up friendships and stuff like that because of a stupid group. Like, Gary Rippelinger had no scholarship, guys. I mean, her degrees in college were, not biblical degrees, but actually, degrees in interior decorating. She was a designer, guys. She hung up curtains, guys. She had no biblical scholarship at all. So when she was interviewed in these interviews, she has a degree in this college or that college or whatever. She had no biblical degrees, though. And, it tells you to be careful of a woman teaching in church. You understand what I'm saying? Broke that commandment, though. Probably the 14th commandment, you understand what I'm saying? But anyway. Or the 12th commandment. Who's counting? Alright, so it says over here, okay, energe, okay, so en is a preposition, and arche is a noun, it's a Greek noun in the dative case, dative singular feminine construction, okay, you understand what I'm saying? But now we're looking at the Greek word eid, and it means was, from the Amy paradigm, to be. That's the paradigm in the present form, Amy, okay, so, this is a verb now. So we looked at something that might be an adverb, okay, and, right? In olden times, and then we looked at a noun, and now we're looking at a verb. This is the third person form, okay. This is the third person form, this Greek word ain, in the imperfect tense. So what's a tense? Well, you have tenses in Greek, just like you have cases, okay, in according to the Greek noun, your nominative case, and I didn't even mention all of them. Actually, you have the accusative case, which has to do with limitation as to extent. See Acts chapter 22, verse 9, the extent of the hearing. None that they didn't hear the voice. Okay, they didn't understand the voice. And then you have your ablative case, case of separation, your locative case, and then your instrumental case, the case of means. You know what I mean? So you have all those 8 cases. So 8. Okay? All right, guys, nowadays, people are trying to make applesauce out of things. You understand what I'm saying? Blending cases together and serving it up as applesauce. To make it more easier for the students. But then when they get caught in reading a book, okay, unless they were told all these things, I mean, you're missing a lot of uses. Actually, when you're not teaching the ablative, instrumental, and the accusative case, I can't think off the top of my head, but man, you're missing out on like 20 different uses or something like that. Maybe even more in Greek, according to those cases. It's a very rich, load of uses that a boatload of uses, and you're not even teaching. So you have to be careful with that, and just mention the cases so people will be well-rounded, and they'll look at the older books and say, oh, okay, okay, that's an instrumental case, a case of means, okay. I mean, all right, so the Greek word ein is in the imperfect tense. Now, what are the tenses in Greek? Well, you have your imperfect tense, present tense, and perfect tense, and then you have your future and aorist tense. Let's compare what the imperfect tense is with the aorist tense. I mean, I think that's the royal way of doing it, right? Right. Ein is in the imperfect tense. That means it's like an action that hasn't been completed yet. It's a continuous. We're talking about, theologically speaking, so it could be more easier on the soul. Okay, we're talking about logos as continuous, timeless subsistence, eternal subsistence. We're talking about that. Versus something that's in the aorist tense. Okay, egeneto. Let's get there now. Okay, verse 3. Okay, all right, let's check this out. Came into being as geneto right there, tagged by 1096. Let's check that out. It's over here 1096. Okay, ginomai. And you see here, okay, that the definition means to come into being, be born, become, come, about, happen. This is never describes logos until you get into verse 14, and that he took upon himself an additional nature, and he became man. He became flesh and dwelt among us, and so he became flesh. Well, he took that nature. Well, you see labon, the participle there, labon, taking, in verse 7 of chapter 2 of Philippians. Labon, much more different than huparkon, subsisting. So he subsisted as God. Okay? He was always God. That nature was never given to him, nature A or nature 1, right? But nature 2 or nature B, he not that it was given to him, but he took that nature. He took that nature, labon, taking the nature of a Marphane. It's in the accusative case construction. He only took that nature. He took that nature alone. Not the nature of an angel, okay, angalu. Not the nature of a creature, of any other creature, okay. No, he took the nature, okay, all right, of man. He took that nature. He took it. But it doesn't say that he took the nature of God or that he was given the nature of God, nature A or 1. He took nature B or nature 2. He took that nature, the secondary nature, not the essential nature, the additional nature. You understand what I'm saying? He took that. So this is just a deal. So the thing is that this is a to be a verb over here. You understand what I'm saying? When we look at the Greek word ein, it's an aiming word. So when you trace it, what is the number again? 1096. What is it? Let me see over here. I'm at someplace else, though. Verse 3. Okay, all right. A Greek word ein. Is that what I'm saying? Greek word ein right over here. 1510, I should say. He took that nature. Did he? No. He didn't take the nature of logos. He had that. He was logos. He continuously and eternally and continuously. That's the key to understand about this. The Greek word is a continuous thing. This is in the imperfect tense. It's like you being in a basketball game, okay, or you're looking at a basketball game, the continuousness of it all. But let's say you're in the basketball game, and you take a picture of it, and you post it up on YouTube. Oh, that's the aorist tense. Whatever action, okay, all right, took place in that basketball game, and you took a picture of, well, that's in the aorist tense. That's a completed act. But this is not an action word over here, okay, Ain. It is showing you the status of Logos. The status of Logos. Listen, there are about like 2 or 3 Greek words here that actually, and really Logos when you think about it, but actually talk about the nature of Logos or Logos. You understand what I'm saying? Ain, okay, right, is showing you the continuousness of Logos. Continuousness when it comes to subsistence, continuousness when it comes to intercommunion/relationship with another, and the continuousness of his nature, of Theos. You understand what I mean? He is Theos. It tells you that it's Theos, and that's in the predicate position, and we already went through that, and we're going to get back to that when we look at all of this. But I promised that it was going to be a short look at Ain and all these other words. I mean, it's just too deep for tears. But Ain is in the imperfect tense, not in the aorist tense. What do you mean the aorist tense? Well, I mean, the aorist tense is a completed action. It's like kicked or flipped or jumped or whatever the case may be. Ate. I ate yesterday. Well, that will be in the aorist tense in Greek. It's a completed action. It's a completed action. You understand what I'm saying? It's a completed act. He kicked the ball. Or you add the word ed. Now, sometimes the form will change. Like I say to my wife, don't say I eat already. No, say I ate already. It's okay. It changes from eat to ate. Okay, not the number 8, but 8 that you ate. You understand what I'm saying? And swam changes to swam. Swim changes to swam. Okay, my English is getting bad. Copying her. And sing changes to sung. I sung the song. I sing the song already. I sung the song already. So sing changes to sung. You understand what I'm saying? See changes to saw. I saw the girl. I saw the boy, whatever the case may be. So I see the boy. Well, you can say I see, I'm seeing the boy. I mean, but when you're saying that you did it already, it's not that you see the boy. You see the boy. I saw the boy. It changes. You understand what I'm saying? It inflects. It changes. So this Amy word in the present tense, Amy in the Greek lexicon, will change to to a different construction in the imperfect tense. It goes through changes, and it's the third person form. So that has to change, okay? A paradigm, I believe, for this in the present tense, okay? It's a Amy, right? And then you have A and Eston. You have Eston is third person, and A is second person. You are. So I am, you are, he, she, or it is, like that. And we'll get into the paradigm for the perfect tense when I get more into it. But this is a bird's eye view of something. Let me go on though. Okay. So I mean, that aspect of this, okay, is very important. It's not. Time is not important. Basically, it's more like how Logos subsisted. It's not like when he subsisted, it's how. What do you mean how? Well, I'm learning the word how, okay, and that's how, let me see, in Cebuano, it's like, what is it? Well, unsa is what, and asa is where, and I think it's, isn't it kinsa? Kinsa. I think kinsa is but kinsa is who though, isn't it though? I gotta get into a how again. Okay, I gotta get into that because I'm trying to learn Cebuano to communicate to certain people here, including my wife, who doesn't understand me a lick. But anyway, but I'll get into the how. The who is kinsa though? I gotta get how. I'll check that tutorial out. But it's showing you how. Okay, how did Logos subsist? And it was a continuous subsistence. Now, I get that title. I get the title of John 1:1b, subsistence from huparkon, okay, all right, which is a participle in verse 6 of chapter 2 of Philippians. I get that from that. You understand what I mean? It's a very biblical title. Subsistence. That's why I listen. I see the progression of thought here from one thought to another. I mean, subsistence to intercommunion slash relationship into nature slash essence. Well, I mean, that's what I see. I saw that. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? All right. So this is in the imperfect tense. It's an action and that hasn't been completed yet. It's a continuous, ongoing subsistence. Okay, and the construction is was. It's not that he became. It's not okay. Energe egeneta halagos. It doesn't say that here. If it said that, well, the witnesses would win the argument that he is a creature because it says so. If that scenario was here, energe epoias and hate astan lagan. In the beginning, God created logos. That's it. But it doesn't have that here. This is a very important prologue. You understand what I'm saying? This is the introduction of the gospel of God. This is stating right up in your face in the very beginning who is Jesus before you get into the discussion. Okay, 18 verses of Glade. It's right here. So if he's not a creature, okay, it's going to tell you in the prologue he's not. He shall glorify me. So it doesn't mean he's going to contradict Jesus' teaching. Jesus never said protos mu anywhere when he was comparing himself with the Father. He said meson, meson, yes, I agree. But he never said protos mu, that the Father was before him. And you see that in verse 15 of chapter 1. You see John the Baptist doing that when he's comparing himself with Jesus. But you never see it when Jesus is comparing himself with the Father anywhere, protos mu, in the Bible. Well, let's go on. The article, ha, well, nowadays called all, but the article is tagged always. I don't care any construction you choose. It's always tagged by the same number, okay, all right, 3588. All the articles, whether it be tan, ha he ta, tutais tu, toteto, tan ten tan, the singular articles, or, you know, hoi hai ta, ton ton ton, tois tais tois, and tus tas tas. All the 24 articles, so-called definite articles, okay, are tagged by, what's the number again? 3588. Now, this is the nominative form of the article. You understand what is the nominative form? Okay, we saw that the nominative has to do with designation. Okay, and so when you want to say that God is something, or God did something, or God will do something, or whatever the case may be, okay, no pun intended, because it'll be, you know, like that. But so you put him in a nominative case. God is love. Okay, you put that in the nominative. You understand what I'm saying? The word God, because he is love. You're showing the status of God. God loved the world. Well, he will be in a nominative case construction. Okay, you can put an article in front of the ha. Sometimes the article is not accompanied with the noun theos, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't mean it's indefinite. Okay, you have to look at the context. It's talking about the God of Israel or any other member, okay, you know, in the discussion, right? Even though they're all called the God of Israel, the Lord of Israel, you understand what I'm saying? You know, that's not indefinite. It's not. There are 10 different ways that a Greek noun can be definite without the article, and Dan Wallace gets into that discussion in his article treatise on the article. Ha. Well, that's called a weak demonstrative, and nowadays, like I said before, it is pronounced all, like all Canada. So you say the article in the country. If you put an article in front of Jesus' name in the nominative, you'll put this one, ha Jesus. Okay, now there are different constructions, but this is the nominative form of article. But in Greek, it's not like that, like English. It's just it just makes things definite. That's not what the article is designed for. The article can show you what kind of construction something is in. A function marker. Okay, it could tell you, especially when you're getting into, you know, words that don't fully inflect, like the word Jesus in the genitive or dative, singular. Well, then if you say ha Yesu, well, you know that's in or actually tu Yesu, you know that's in the that's in the genitive. If you see to Yesu, same construction for Jesus, right? In the dative to. Well, you know that's working as that's functioning as the word is functioning in the dative case, so it could be used as a function marker. It could be used as a pronoun, ha. Well, how can you translate that sometimes? Well, that one. This doesn't only mean the. It could be used as a pronoun. That's why it's called a weak demonstrative, probably. Weak demonstrative, And it could be used as for special definiteness. Ha theos, O God. Found and recorded in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8, and Hebrews chapter 10, verse 7, where the Father is calling Jesus God, ha theos, O God. And then, in turn, Jesus calls the Father ha theos, O God, in Hebrews chapter 1, actually Hebrews chapter 10, verse 7. Okay? So ha is it's called a definite article, but it could do much more than just it's very flexible. It's not just the. So the witness is saying, well, this means the. It doesn't mean only the. That's not what the article is really designed to do. Okay? It's not. And not. This article is in front of infinitive verbs, which are verbal nouns. I mean, this article is in front of that. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes the infinitive has the verb, sometimes it doesn't. You understand what I mean? So there is no indefinite article paradigm in biblical Greek, I should say, rather. In modern Greek, there is an indefinite article paradigm. Anas, mia, ana, like that. Then none for biblical Greek. There is no indefinite article in John 1:1c. A. Mounce points out in his discussion, he lets us deal with the witnesses. But he dealt a little bit with the witnesses in his Basics of Biblical Greek video lectures. You should get a copy of the set. You have 6 DVDs there. Really, really wonderful layout of the Basics of Biblical Greek, and he says he mentions it like about 3 minutes, the witnesses in the whole series. I don't think he does it again in the whole lecture collection. He said, you tell the JWs of the Jehovah's Witnesses that there is no indefinite article there. And then he gets into the Greek word, haste, which can mean a, but that's not there. Okay? I already mentioned some words that are not there in John 1:1 that would be very damning for us Trinitarians, but they're not there. Allah is one, Alpha, Lambda, Alpha, but Tina is another one, haste is another one, Theu is another one, Epoiesin is another one, Egeneta is another. I mean, all those Greek words are not in the text. They're not. So why force Logos in being something that he isn't, just because you don't like him being God? You don't like it. I know you don't like it because you never was taught these glories before. Right, so ha is one of the articles, one of the 24 articles in the paradigm, in the 24 article paradigm, and we got into the article paradigm. Now logos is the next thing. Let's look at that. What? Oh, logos. Well, it looks like a capital A letter, doesn't it though? Well, that's a capital lambda. That's a capital L in Greek actually. So if you're looking at it, something that looks like an incomplete capital A in Greek, well, that's a capital L actually. Lambda, sometimes called lambda. Lambda. Lamed is actually the Hebrew L, found and recorded in the Hebrew El for God, or Elohim for God. You understand? And then you have spelled out lambda, omicron, gamma, omicron, final sigma, or Logos. That's the transliteration there. Capital L, by the way, very respectful. And that's just the deal. Now, that's tagged by the Strong's number 3056. 3056, okay? And let's check that out. All right, let's check that out. If I could poke the bear. Okay. That's the Strong's number. G, it says G 3056 logos. That's the spelling. Lambda, omicron, gamma, omicron, sigma. That's the lexical form. We'll get into the forms in a second. And that's a noun. And that's just the deal. Now, let's look at the definition. Definition is a word, okay, as embodying, okay, an idea, a statement, a speech. Now, I'm going to have to add this, though. Really, apart from that. If you're translating this into some languages, logos, you're going to have to probably translate it as Jesus. Why? Well, some forms in other languages are in the feminine. So if you say word in some languages, it's going to be in the feminine, and they're going to think that logos is female. So you're going to have to avoid that. That's from the Handbook translation of the Gospel of John, okay? Found 330 times in the Greek New Testament, and that time that I told you, and that scripture that I told you of, Psalm 32 verse 6. Let's see that there. Let's go to the Greek Septuagint, copy of it anyway, and let's check out logos in the dative case, though. Okay, to lago. Let's check that out. Now let's go to the Psalms, and actually in some Greek Septuagints, especially tangible ones, you'll see a psi there for the Psalm. The first letter is going to be the anchor-looking letter, which is actually a trident, and the weapon of Poseidon, the false god of the sea. PS letter in Greek, very important letter, by the way. You see it in the Acts of the Apostles also, capital Psi, Psi, right? Psi, yeah, Psi. Okay, so let me see. Verse, I believe it's in verse 6, though. So let's check it out. Yep, to lago. Lago is in a dative case here because is translated by, not because, but it's translated, it can be translated into by the word of the Lord. You see? By the word of the Lord. By the word of the Lord, it says over here, to lago atu kuriu. Okay? And it says plural for heavens there, hoi uranoi. So there is a, I mean, in the Greek Septuagint it has the plural form here, a plural form, right? So I don't know why it doesn't have the plural form in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. Okay, it says tan uranan. I don't know why it doesn't say tus uranos, but anyway, to lago. So that's in a dative case. By the word of the Lord were the heavens formed, and by the breath, or pneuma, says over here. You understand what I'm saying? It says pneuma there, pneumati actually in the dative, to pneumati. And the little tiny I, you may say, well, Angelo, didn't you say that the I indicates the dative and is put under the letter? Well, not all the time. I already told you that it's done in 3 situations under the alpha, eta, and omega. But in the third declension word, a noun in Greek ending in a consonant, meaning the stem or the root of the word ends in a consonant, like kappa and tau and stuff like that, and delta and all that other stuff. Well, in this situation, the iota is written after the consonant, not subscribed underneath it. Okay? So iotas can subscribe underneath long vowels, but they are written after the consonants, after a third declension word. You understand what I'm saying? So a first declension word is like arche, words ending in alpha or eta. Second declension words are words, the stem of the noun ending in omicron. And then third declensions are words ending in a consonant. Okay? So it says it's one of the constructions of logos there. So this is logo. So let me give you the constructions. We got logos, lagu, lago, lagan. Okay, and then you have lagoi, lagon, lagois, and lagus. Okay, so you have the plural forms. So this is in the dative case. If you want to put it in a nominative like our text, or you just add a s, the sigma. And archein halagos. So that's the subject of the sentence. What's the subject of the sentence? Logos. What's the verb here? Ein. Logos was. And then you have your preposition in, and the object of the preposition, and you're saying that the relationship that's being focused upon is logos being in the beginning. He was something. He was in the he was something, and he the word has a relationship with another word that he was in the beginning. Okay, in the beginning. And I already said that arche can be like a horizon, pointing you to the beginning of time and also before time. It's like the angel, having his foot on the sea and on the land. You understand what I'm saying? And arche in halagos. So logos is found 330 times in the Greek New Testament and also in the Greek Septuagint. I gave you one example there. This is in a nominative case. Now the root of the word logos is laga. Laga. L-O-G-O. That's the root of it. That's the root of the word that contains the meaning of the word. Theos, the root of that is thea. Incidentally, theta, the first letter in theos, nowadays called theta, that means divine. In and of itself, it means divine. Okay, I'm just letting you know that. Okay? But the root of some of these words, let me get into the roots of some of these words, okay? All these words here. Arche, okay, is the root, okay, of that word that means beginning. Okay? Laga is the root, okay, of logos. It's the root of. That's the root. That contains the meaning, actual meaning of the word. Theos, the root is thea. So what did they do to these? Well, they made the word inflect. They changed it. They added a case ending. In the situation of logos, okay, they added a sigma s to put it in a nominative case. Okay, that's all you do. Just add an s because it's a second declension word, right? You just add an s, a sigma. You understand what I'm saying? And you're putting it in a nominative case. That logos was, okay, in the beginning. Well, he's the subject of the sentence. You put a sigma. It's called a case morpheme or a case ending. Okay. You already saw one case ending. Okay, in arche, the iota, and also here in the Greek Septuagint. Okay. And I hope this is it. In lago. You see the little tiny I written underneath the W-looking letter, which is not a W, it's an O class, like in the word home, okay, or Moshe. The Moshe, the word for Moses, well, there's a little tiny dot, okay, above the second letter. Let's say, right? That's a sheen dot is acting like an O actually. But so, I mean, you can tell that something is to be pronounced O, the consonant, and then an O sound after the consonant by a dot, okay, above a letter in Hebrew. But in Greek, okay, in biblical Greek, it's the W-looking letter. It's not a W. It's an O class, like in the word home. That's how you can tell something is the O is long. Okay. The other O here, okay, is an omicron in the word logos, and it's a short O, like in the word hot. But there's no distinction in modern Greek. Everything is O, But there's a little tiny I underneath the omega, and that's pointing out the dative singular. Okay? Okay, so it's showing you this is in a dative case. All right, now let's get back to the nominative case use. Okay, so the sigma, okay, is added to the root of to the root laga, and it becomes logos. You see? So we already mentioned the constructions and stuff like that, and this is logos was not Jesus at this time. It's the same person we're dealing with. Logos and Jesus are the same person, but he was not Jesus at this time or point of eternity or whatever the case may be. He was only God, but he became man in the incarnation. So he will forever be the God-man now. But he wasn't the God-man before the virgin birth. Before the virgin birth, he was only God, Theos. Now he's Theanthropos. Not the anthropic, not a mixing of the natures, but he is Theanthropos. He's the God-man now. Okay? So Logos was only Logos. He was only known as Logos at, I hate to say at this time, but you know what I mean. Again, Logos is spelled out lambda, omicron, gamma, omicron, final sigma. Okay, final sigma. In some manuscripts, you'll see that the sigma looks like a C. So be careful with that. It looks like a C, but it's an S. Okay, you know, when you're looking at the ancient manuscripts like Sinaiticus and Vaticanus and stuff like that, you'll be looking at a C-looking letter, which is an S. Okay, in Greek, everything will be capitalized. So everything will be put together. Just like this, well, actually, I think it's small though. My Facebook page, but I think everything's small there though. So let me bring it back over here. Okay, my baby's crying, so I better go. Okay, guys. So this is part one. I was gonna look at everything, but I'll hold it there for now because my baby Anna Devane is crying. Okay, this is Angelo Kenyon is giving glory to God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Spirit. God is not the God of the Necron, of the dead, but of the living, and that means that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob were very much alive at the time of Jesus, and they're very much alive right now. Okay, hi everybody. Okay, take care, guys. Bye. No, that's okay, my love. That's okay. Okay, bye, guys. Bye.